Be'ezras Hashem, Erev Shabbos Kodesh, Parashat Korach, Shnas Tovshim, Pei Aleph. In the entrance to every public building, the law is you have to have a security guard. Because in the eventuality that there's a security situation, he can come and take care of it. Same too, you need to as well have a first aid kit in the corridor. Maybe every 2 floors you have to have a first aid kit. If there's a medical situation, then you can take from the medical first aid kit what you need. But in every room, in every office, you have to have a water sprinkler that will sprinkle water to extinguish any fire. Because with fire, there's not enough time to go to the entrance of the building and bring water, or not even to the corridor to bring water. You have to have an automatic sensor that senses fire, and immediately the water sprinkler will be activated and extinguish the fire. This is the idea, says Chazal. When Machlokes, they compare it to the fire. Eish ha-Machlokes. Why to Eish? Because if you don't extinguish it immediately, it can spread and burn and destruct everything that's Kayam. This is the idea. The danger of fire is so much more greater than the danger, medical danger, security danger. Security danger, you can have the shomer, the guard can stand downstairs by the entrance. A medical danger, it's enough you have a medical kit in the corridor. But when it comes to a fire, you have to have it. Immediate activate a sprinkler of water. The same too is the Indian of Machlokes. That a person has to have this das. A person has to have this knowledge that when he senses there's a Machlokes taking place, immediately to extinguish it. To immediately extinguish the fire of Machlokes. Don't let it spread, Hashem Yirachem, in family, with friends, and it can spread to so much in different areas of life. And instead we will overcome the Machlokes, extinguish it, and bring Shalom, Ahava, and Achva. This is the Inyan. Reb Shlomke Mizavil would say over that he was a Rav in Yerushalayim, and there was a man, a younger man, an Avrech, just newly married, and he came to Reb Shlomke Mizavil and he said, Rebbe, I'm newly married, 2 weeks marriage, but my shviger, my mother-in-law, gave me such a telling off. I don't know what happened. She spoke to me in such a way, in such a manner, that Pashut, I didn't even go home. I just came to the Rav. I don't know if I can continue this marriage with this family, the way they spoke to me. It's terrible. He was shocked. And the Shlomke Mizveh looked at him and said, you'd had a dream. He said, but Rebbe, it wasn't a dream. She spoke to me in this way, in this manner. He said, Mantayra chosid chaloim cholamto. It's a dream that you dreamt. Wake up, forget about it. So he was a chosid of Reb Shlomke Mizavil, and if the Rebbe says that it's a dream and forget about it, so what do you do? Even if you have the worst dream, slowly you forget about it. And the Chatan went and he ate by his in-laws and he spoke normally. He forgot about it. Within 2 days it was over. 2 weeks later she came back to him, his mother-in-law, and she said, I'm very, very sorry the way I spoke the other day. Please forgive me. The son said, what are you speaking about? I don't remember how you spoke like this. So he said, but I spoke to you 2 weeks, don't remember. He says, no, maybe you dreamt about it, he said. And she said, I dreamt, I don't remember. Okay, doesn't matter if you forgive me. And then they lived. And now this younger man, he's now a grandfather. He has grandchildren in the north of Eretz Yisrael to the south of Eretz Yisrael. Great grandchildren. He said, if not for this eitzah, that it's a cholem, it's a dream, if not for this idea to extinguish the Machlokes on the spot, he says, I have no doubt I wouldn't have been zoicha to this great family mishpocha, because it would have been the end of my marriage there and then. So this is the idea. Like we see the Eish HaMachlokes, the fire of Machlokes, like we know of a normal fire, has to be extinguished because it's so dangerous. The same to the Machlokes, the fire of Machlokes has to be extinguished immediately and not to spread the Machlokes. Now there's an amazing, the Rosh, he's one of the great Rishonim, he writes as follows. There's a sefer called the Orchos Chaim LeRosh. He gives a way of life, many simonim telling you the ideal way to live. And he says as follows when it comes to the inyan of Machlokes. He says, Al tit aver al riv she'eino shelcho. Do not mix into a Machlokes, into an argument that isn't yours. Kilosoif, because in their end, Heim yashlimu beinayim, they will make peace with each other. Va'ato tishaer bekas. And you will stay angry. Here it says, Orchos Chaim the Rosh, don't mix a Machlokes which isn't yours, because they, the Bali Machlokes, the people having an argument, they will bring peace with themselves, but you will stay angry. And the question is, it's a riddle. Why would I stay angry if there's no more Machlokes? If the Bali Machlokes, if the people had the argument with each other, they came to a settlement, well, I should continue to be bekas. I will continue to be angry. Where's the logic? What's understanding about this? We see the same thing in the Rambam. The holy Rambam says as follows. V'oidomru chachomim. The Rabbonim said, Shloisha Lashon Hora Horgoi. 3 people the Lashon Hora kills. Ha'oimroi, the one that actually says the Lashon Hora. Hamekabloi, the one that accepts the Lashon Hora and believes it. V'zeh she'oimrim olov, and the one that we spoke about. V'hamekablo yoisem in the omroi, the one that believes the Lashon Hora is worth than the guy that said the Lashon Hora. And the question is why? Why the one that believed the Lashon Hora is worth the one that actually said the Lashon Hora? He said the Lashon Hora. Okay, you're right. He won't be able to say it if I wasn't listening. But even in a case where other people were listening, but even he was saying Lashon Hora because I was listening. But at the end of the day, who was the one that spoke Lashon Hora? It was that man, the Mesaper. And nevertheless, says the Rambam, the Mekabel, he's worse than him. So we see from the Rosh, we see from the Rambam this idea that Tafka, the person that enters the Machlokes, he will stay angry. The one that listens to the Lashon Hora, that's what he's saying about someone else, and you're listening and believing, you're worse than the person that's saying over the Lashon Hora. And why is it so? So I once heard from Motche Miller a murdika pshat from a Rav in Novardok. Novardok dika mahalach, gewaldiga mahalach. He says in Ovus, it gives us a general rule. In Mishnayos Ovus, it says as follows. Ahava sheteluyo bedovor. Botla hava, botla dovor, botla hava. Meaning, if the love is dependent on something, then if this something falls away, then the love falls away. Same with Hashem. A person loves Hashem. If it's dependent, Hashem gives me health and wealth, then that's a hava shetluya bedovos. If chas v'shulam, a person isn't so matzliach in the wealth, and his health isn't that great, then his ahavas Hashem, he already doesn't like Hashem so much. But instead, ahava she'ino tluya bedovo, ahava, that person Hashem, he loves Hashem with all his heart, it's not dependent on anything else. This is a love that Hashem has to Hashem, a person has to Hashem. In every situation, is always love Hashem. It's not totally bedovo. That's a klal in ahava. The same too is as well in sinner, in hatred. Hatred, sinner, which is dependent on something. Then botla dovo, bottle the sinner. For example, 2 people have an argument. He says, you did to me this, you took from me that. So he hates him. They're having an argument. There's a sin'ah. But then they come to a settlement. He gives him back. They come to a settlement. Then finish. Bottle adovor, bottle hasinah. Since the reason of the Machlokes doesn't exist anymore, they settled it, so there's no more Machlokes. But the person that entered the Machlokes, but the person that joined the Machlokes, that wasn't his. Why are you entered the Machlokes? What did he take from you? Did he take from you money? Did he do to you anything? He didn't do to you anything. So why are you entering the Machlokes? It's a sin'ah she'einot tluya bedavar. It's a sinner which I hate that person. So even in the end they will settle. Even if bottle adovor, but his sinner will not be bottled. His sinner will stay for always, says the Rosh. Basof heim yashlimu beinayim, v'ata tishaer bekas. Because the sin of a person that enters Machlokes for no reason, then it's like a sinner she'einot tluya bedovo, and that's a sinner which stays, and Hashem Yerachem, it's a greater sinner, a greater hatred. And the same too with Lashon Hara. This person, Noshavas, that person is disturbing him, something. But then they make peace with each other, they become the best of friends. But the person likes to read about it, and he listens, and he's enjoying. Why? For what reason? Why are you entering the Machlokes? That's why Makabro, the person that believes the Machlokes, person the Lashon Hara, Shemra person enjoys the Lashon Hara. What for? It's a sinner she'einot tluya bedovo, and therefore such a sinner is a greater degree, the worst sinner, which is Lo'olam, can stay for always. So we see from here this idea of Machlokes. The idea of Machlokes, it can be so great, like the fire can destroy so much, has to be extinguished immediately, like a bad dream. Forget about it, don't let it spread. Like that Avrech said, who's now is a grandfather, great-grandfather, he said, had I made it spread that Machlokes, it would have destroyed my marriage. But we saw as well that the people that join a Machlokes, it's even worse than the Bali Machlokes. Because he is joining a Machlokes for no reason, it's just a hatred. And such a hatred, even if Batla Dovo, even if the Machlokes is over, he will stay a hatred in his heart against that fellow. And we see it in this week's parasha actually, by the Ishtoi Shel Oim Ben Peles. Ishtoi Shel Oim Ben Peles, he was one of the people, the 250 people that joined Korach against Moshe Rabbeinu, and he came home and he said to his wife, tomorrow we're going to go to Moshe Rabbeinu. And his wife said to him, why are you joining a Machlokes? If Moshe will win, you'll be the Talmud of Moshe, you'll be in the yeshiva of Moshe. And if Korach will win, then there'll be a different Rosh Yeshiva. Korach will be in the yeshiva. You will stay the same Oin Ben Peles. What have you got in it? It's a sin'ah she'inot tluya bedavar. That is what she said. And this idea, Rav Shach used to say that Shema Melech praised this advice. He said, Chochmas noshim bonso beiso. With the wise woman of Ishtoi Shel Oim Ben Peles, says the Medrash, bonso beiso, she saved the house. So asked Rav Shach, she said such a wise thing that Shlomo Melech, the cleverest man in all the world, all generations, he praised this wisdom that she said. What have you got in it? Anyone could have said this. Anyone could have said to Korach, what have you got in it? Moshe will be Rosh Yeshiva Korach, you'll stay the same Oin Ben Peles. And Shlomo Melech said, Chochmas Noshim, wow, such a great wisdom. Said Rav Shach b'shem his Rebbe, Reb Leib Chasman, you're right. But the chokhmah is that a time when there's a machlokes raging outside, not to be neschaf, not to be joined in this whole tumult of the machlokes, you need to be a very clever person to think straight and think the emes and not to join everyone else. That's what Shema Melech said. Chochmas noshim bonzo. He zachta. She was zoicha. She merited in a time of such a tumult. Imagine how this encampment of Am Yisrael must have looked on that evening where they said tomorrow Korach's going to go to Moshe Rabbeinu. Just think what was going on, how people were speaking. What was on the news that night? Everyone was speaking. Whose side are you on? What do you say? What's going to be? What do you imagine? Yeah. And she says, what have you got? Switch off the radio. Switch it off. It's not important. It's not to do with us. I'm not interested in what they're speaking about on the streets. It's nothing to do with me. This is Chochmas Noshim Bonso Beiso. This is the idea of a person to know, because these people who are being mitzaref to the Machlokes, people who join Machlokes, it's Hashem Yerachem. So much worse. It's so bad because it's a sinner she'einot tluya bedova, and she saved his life of Ishtoi Shel Oim Ben Peles. The Medrash says that towards the end of the Parsha, that summarizes the whole idea of the Parsha, the Medrash says the following moshel. There was a man walking along the way, and he sat down to have a sandwich, and he saw two birds fighting. And one bird killed the other bird. And after he killed the bird, he flew away, and he came back with a leaf in his beak. And he put the leaf on the dead bird, and it resuscitated the dead bird. It came back to life, and the two birds flew away. So the man, they left the leaf there. So the man took the leaf and says, wow, I have now the key to life. And he starts looking for a local cemetery to start put by the cemetery. It can resuscitate all the dead. But he didn't find a cemetery. He found a lion, a dead lion. Says a dead lion will as well do. And he puts a leaf on the lion's head. And the lion roars back to life, and he's hungry, and he eats up the man totally. He kills the man and eats him up. He pounces on this man. So this is the idea, says the Medrash. We all have this leaf to give life. This is a koyach hadibur, moves v'chayim beyad loshen. With a speech, you can give life, you can be mechazek, you can strengthen others, you can compliment others, you can be ma'oded other people. But with speech, Hashem Yirachim, you can bring Machlokes. Vayikach Korach. Korach had an amazing way of speech. He was able to bring all the people against Moshe Rabbeinu. You have to have certain kishroinos to be able to do such a thing. But he used it for the bad. He used the leaf instead of bringing life. Instead of bringing Yeshuas, he used the leaf to bring destruction, to awaken the lion of Machlokes. And therefore, it brought to his own downfall, his own destruction. So may we be zoicha be'ezras Hashem to use a leaf, koyach hadibur, moves v'chayim beyad loshen, the life to encourage others, to use the koyach hadibur for encouragement and to bring life to others, and not chas v'sholem, to make machlokes, to join machlokes, and be'ez Hashem may all be zoicha to have a wonderful Shabbat. Thank you very much for listening.